A little over a month ago, Representative Nancy Pelosi bought shares of Tempest AI, a stock that most people had not heard of. But here's the thing. The stock is up well over 100% from the time that she bought it just a few weeks ago, and she is very good at investing. So the question should be, is this the time that we should, hop on this particular stock? Is it worth investing in? And are there some cons that are right around the corner that we should be on the lookout for? Let's go ahead and break it down. Here's the first thing before we jump into all the pros and the cons. There is a concept that I talked about in yesterday's video about inversion, right? It is taking what we know is bad. Investing in bad stocks is the best way to lose money. The best way to make money is just do what successful investors do. Buy what successful investors buy. Nancy Pelosi, for better or worse, is one of the best investors out there. Whether you like the way that she invests, whether you think it should be legal or not, today it is. And we know what she is investing in and what she is buying and what she is selling, and she bought Tempest AI. So at least we got to ask the question, at least we need to do our due diligence and do some research into it. So here's what we found, or here's what I found, and then we can collaborate in the comments together. So obviously it is Tempest AI. It is an artificial intelligence company. What I like about that is, and I would slide this into the pro category, is on the healthcare side of AI. Now I do have some reservations about healthcare. We'll talk a little bit about that. I've talked about it before, but on the AI side for healthcare, what the company does do is the simplified version of what they do. My interpretation of it is they take data and information and help doctors and researchers find better, or help them to analyze information, find better cures, tactics, so on and so forth. So think of it like, I really want to say it this way. Think of a ChatGPT for doctors and researchers in healthcare, particularly for genomes, DNA, things like that. All right, so that's my translation of what they do. Clearly, I was not a bio major. Okay, you guys get the point there, though. So the reason why that's a good thing is because I am not the biggest healthcare stock advocate in this particular era, but because it's more tech and more AI than just healthcare itself, particularly on the medicine side, then this makes me feel a bit better about that side of the house, if you will. From a financial perspective, the cash flow is solid. It is moving in the right direction. Now, the company is relatively new, so it doesn't have the strongest financials in the world. The company was founded in 2015, but they went public in June of 2024. So we don't have the best, longest history in the world. And new companies, classified as new companies, one, new in terms of being publicly traded, meaning that you and I can buy shares in it, they haven't been around for an entire year. Normally when I talk about stocks here on this channel, I say how well it did in the last 6 months, how well it did in the last year, and that gives us some guideposts on how we feel and how I feel about investing in it in the future. Is that the one and only thing? No, it is not. But it is a guidepost. Okay, I feel better about this. But it hasn't even been around for the stock market for even that long. It has not even been a company for an entire decade. Now, there have been several companies, Tesla being one of them, that lost money for their first decade. Amazon, I'm pretty sure, did the exact same thing. So this is normal. It's par for the course, especially for a tech stock. But for them to be trending in the right direction, and most experts and most analysts do believe they are on track for profitability. When I looked at their numbers, I wasn't shocked. They weren't losing billions of dollars, but they were in the hundreds of millions. But the cash flow is like, when I look at the money that you have in your hand, was it growing quarter to quarter? They were doing solid. They were doing something. It is a business that works versus like a Truth Social or something that's like, bruh, I don't know how this is going to survive. I don't think this business model works. Versus this, like, okay, I see it, right? Things need to keep working, right? But I see it. I get it. All right, so that is working. Those things are in the pro category. The other thing, too, is they did make a pretty major acquisition right around the time that Pelosi bought. Is that related? Is that just luck? I honestly don't know. I would just be kind of guessing in that era. But the acquisition was for, I think it was Aubrey Genetics was the name of this company. Anytime that you acquire another company, usually you do take on debt. I want to say it was around $500 million in debt. That's going to impact the numbers. They're going to have to pay off their debt. We'll see how that does impact the financials, but doing so does help expand the company, and then brings them into another field for them to bring in data to help them analyze and perhaps bring in new customers as well. I do think that is going to help them moving forward. I'm thinking next 3, 4, 5 years. It could be a very good long-term stock, but thinking long-term for a new company that really just IPO'd last year is pretty risky. So let's move into the cons. Could it be hurt from the healthcare effect? I've already talked a little bit about it, so I'm not going to keep repeating around this, but the RFK Jr. effect, we've started to see a lot of really drug manufacturers, Pfizer's of the world, Moderna's of the world, those stocks not doing well. Now, are those stocks impacted by Tempest? Yes and no. They may benefit, like Tempest, they can use Tempest data to improve their drug products. That can be a use case for Tempest, perhaps. But sometimes we have seen in this space where healthcare can fall, a few healthcare stocks can fall, and all of them fall all together, even though they're not related. We did see this when SBV Bank crashed all together in 2023, right? When that happened, I saw insurance companies fall apart, right? It was like, wait a minute, I'm an insurance company. I have nothing to do with that bank failure, and now my stock is tanking. What's that got to do with me, right? So that can happen when people look and say, oh, you're a healthcare company, I don't want anything to do with that, and investors sell anyway. Is that a risk that you could be taking by investing in this stock, even though, again, you don't have nothing to do with those particular companies? Maybe, maybe not. That is an unknown for me. Also, it does have AI in the title. Now, while you may think that doesn't truly matter, it actually might. And we did see this during the .com bust, where a lot of companies just put .com in their name and try to make themselves more tech forward. And it actually worked. And the stock soared. Tempest AI actually changed their name and put AI in the title. And that, I'm not saying that didn't help them, and it may have, but actually changing their name may get them out, at least in the investors' eyes, away from just healthcare, and may actually help them. I don't know. Okay, this is more of a psychology thing. It's weird, but it actually can have an impact. So we'll see where that is going to go. Kind of like the blockchain thing that people were talking about not too long ago. Everybody was on blockchain. You put blockchain in your name. People cared for a little bit, and then we didn't, right, until that whole thing fell apart. All right. The other thing is there's not a ton of information and research out there. Yes, they did the acquisition. Yes, you can find out a bit more about their financials. Other than that, outside of going to the company website itself, they don't have a ton of info out there. There's not a ton of news. It's just relatively blank. Now, a part of this is because they are relatively new. They have not been publicly traded for an entire year. And in fact, as of today, they don't have an annual report. And this is where the risk comes in. February 24th, just 4 days from when this video comes out, depending on when you're watching it and whether you are a member of the channel or not. Members get this video at least a few hours early, sometimes a few days early. The thing is, their earnings, their first annual earnings report is going to come out. It's going to tell you how they did over the entire year. The market is likely, very likely to pay close attention to it. When earnings reports come out, stocks can be volatile. Today, at the time I'm doing this video, and the market is not closed yet. Actually, no, the market just closed 6 minutes ago. At the time I'm doing this, the stock was down 10% today. It was down 9% yesterday. Okay, so that's not great. But when earnings drops, I don't know whether it's going to be positive or negative. It could be yet another pretty drastic change. Positive or negative, I do not know. But we are going to find out even more information on Tempest AI on that day. Again, could it be an opportunity to buy? Could it be an opportunity to profit? That I'm not sure, but you are taking yet another big risk at that point in time. And then the last thing is, on the con side, is history. Not that you have to have decades and decades of history for you to invest, but we have barely a year of information from a stock perspective to go off here. We don't know how well it does in recessions, right? We don't know. I say that because not every stock has to have gone through a recession. Every recession is different, so on and so forth. But we don't know that, right? I don't know. Is this a defensive stock? Is it truly a healthcare stock? I don't know. We don't have a ton of information about what to read about this stock. How well has it performed in the past other than just the last few months? The only thing and the only reason why it's even on our radar is because Nancy Pelosi, a very good investor, bought shares, and the fact that it is up, and almost nothing else. Now, she's good at it, and I can't argue with her results. Should I put my money into it, and can I risk my own money to do it? That's a question you're going to have to answer for yourself. And I would say, given the fact that earnings are just a few days away, I think the risk is a bit too high unless you are willing to put a very small percentage into it. And that's what's going to come down to you. You have to decide how much you want to risk. Okay, so if my portfolio is $100,000 right now, I'll throw, I don't know, $75 at it. I don't really care. Okay, $100,000, $75 really ain't nothing to my investment portfolio. If it makes money, great. If it doesn't, I don't get to go to KFC. Okay, big deal. Okay, it's not really, KFC is expensive, which is why I don't go. So it's not that big a deal to me, right? Now, if you are a brand new investor and this is your only $50 that you are willing to put into the stock market, I don't know if it's worth the risk for you. If you are brand new, it's the only stock that you are investing in. If this is your first $1,000, I don't know. If this is 15% of your portfolio, I don't know, right? Can it be a great stock 5, 6, 7 years from now? It very well could be, but I prefer having more information to go off of and being very, very solid before taking that leap. And I think the main thing is she and her husband may have rock solid information, and they may know this X bill is going to pass and this is going to happen, and we know that the stock is going to take off and blah, blah, blah. They may know CEO for all I know. I don't have that, and I only got but so much money to go off of. I don't have $20 million like she might. And that's how I need to budget my money, right? And that's how I need to make my investments. I know that she bought some Nvidia. We know that she bought some Apple. I'm fine with those. We've researched those. We know how those stocks have performed, and they have a much longer track record. So I'm more comfortable talking about those, investing in those, so on and so forth. So for me, yes, Tempest AI has great performance. That is the one thing we absolutely do know. I am personally not comfortable enough putting a ton of money into it. If you got a little bit and you are a seasoned investor, you are good to go, totally fine. Throw a little bit at it. I threw like $10 or $15 at it because I just want to see. I'm willing to take, if it works, it works. If I lose money, I will take that loss with my $15 and let y'all know how it went. What I don't want you to do is, I'm a first time investor, I'm putting everything in it. That's a risk. It is a very high risk, especially given the last few days, and especially given that earnings are right around the corner. And I do not know, okay? That is the biggest thing. I want to know as certain as I can what is around the corner. I'm never going to have a guarantee. I'm never going to have 100%. Never going to have that. But we want to be more sure. We want to have more history here, at least to give us a better understanding. And right now, we don't have it. When we get more information, we can talk about that. I would love to get that earnings report, and then I would have more to go off of. And then perhaps we can do an update to this. That would give me a lot more confidence in perhaps what is going on in the future. Maybe they'll post a profit for the first time on an annual basis. Maybe, right? So we'll see from that point forward. But right now, I think the risk is just a little too high. I'll say this. The risk is too high for too much money, right? So the less money you put into it, the more confident I am about investing in it. But once you start to say, hey, I'm putting more than like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7%, I'm like, I don't know, right? Because I'm not sure where this is going to go. Those are my thoughts on it. If you want other stocks to consider, as well as the other investments that you did buy, perhaps some I'm more comfortable with, then you can check out this video right here, and I would love to hear your comments as well.